community. It is Tuesday, March 26, 2024. Welcome to another episode of Both Sides of the Conversations. I am your co host, Mark Scott. I am, of course, not by myself. I am joined by the queen of both sides of the conversation, Miss Ayo. Miss Ayo, talk to the community. Tell them how you're doing.
Good evening, community, and welcome to Hidden Gems, our favorite segment of the week. We have some amazing panelists for you this evening that are going to be giving you some very valuable information. So we thank you for joining us this evening.
We absolutely do thank you for joining us. And we do have some amazing panelists. And again, I love Hidden Gems because there are so many great people doing amazing things in the community. And with all the negativity going on, all the things that are negative on the internet, it's good that we actually devote this time to positivity to highlight all the amazing people in the community. So definitely looking forward to that. Of course, want to give a shout out to the bishop who is out in the community right now. Of course, always representing for the community. But again, in his stead, we are definitely looking forward to having a great show this evening. So, with no further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the headlines. And I will go ahead and get started with a major story that is tragic, to say the least. But Baltimore Key Bridge collapse. Live updates as search continues for 6 missing people. It was a tragic event that occurred as Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed after a large cargo ship, the Dolly, crashed into one of its pillars. At least 6 people who were working on the bridge remain unaccounted for, with 2 already rescued. Maryland Governor Wes Moore declared a state of emergency, emphasizing that this appears to be an accident with no evidence of a terrorist attack. President Biden has pledged federal support for search, rescue, and rebuilding efforts, stating that the federal government should cover the cost of reconstructing the bridge. The bridge, a vital link for East Coast shipping and the Port of Baltimore, is now a focus of national attention as efforts continue to find the missing workers and investigate the cause of the collapse. Please send out prayers for all the people in Baltimore and everybody that is impacted by this tragic event. Moving on in the headlines, couple found dead in Portola home identified. One was a former SF 911 dispatcher. In San Francisco's Portola neighborhood, a couple, Florinda Picasso, 48, and Oscar Picasso, age 49, were found deceased in their home from an apparent shooting. Oscar was a longtime Teamster Local 350 member and Florinda a valued 911 dispatcher. No arrests have been reported, and the incident, while shocking to the community and colleagues, is said to pose no broader threat. Also in the headlines, dairy cattle in Texas and Kansas test positive for bird flu. Dairy cattle in Texas and Kansas have tested positive for bird flu, specifically the H5N1 strain, affecting milk production and cow appetite. This marks the first incidence of bird flu in the U.S. livestock following an outbreak among Minnesota goats. The U.S. Department of Agriculture assures the commercial milk supply remains safe, emphasizing pasteurization eliminates viruses. The illness, seemingly confined to 10% of affected herds lactating dairy cows, is being closely monitored by federal and state health authorities. Well, that will do it for the news. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you, Sister Ayo. Let you go ahead and take over with all of the events.
All right. And I'll get right into it. Attend a reception with Mayor London Breed on Thursday, March 28th, 2024, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Support the re-election of San Francisco Mayor London Breed. Participate in Spotlight of the Arts by California Lawyers for the Arts for multidisciplinary arts training. Open to 14 to 17-year-old youth of San Francisco, priority for low-income youth. Apply by April 1st. Apply for the Mr. Q 2024 College Scholarship in remembrance of a life well lived. Scholarships for high school and college students who are interested in public health or related fields. Deadline is March 31st. Join us for the April No Fools Poetry Open Mic on April 2nd, 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at 4800 3rd Street, San Francisco, featuring at Jumi Speaks, Ram the Poet, GEROD, Lady Ra, hosted by Big Mouth Productions and LSO, $20 donations. River of Life Church is accepting signups for River of Code Spring Session 2024 on Mondays and Wednesdays until April 3rd at 4:30 p.m. at the River of Life Church. Learn computer skills, coding, building, and engineering. Join YCD Bridging the Gap and Bay Area Desperados for WAGA 19, the War Against Gun Activity 19-year-old anniversary, April 13th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Bayview Opera House. All ages are welcome for live entertainment and food. Apply for Bayview Legacy Foundation scholarships and stipends available. Apply from March 15th through April 29th, and details are at the link below. Mark your calendar for Hip Hop's TV's first annual Fashion and Art Gala 2024, honoring Chantel Herden, and on April 27th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. All proceeds will benefit Chantel's children. Join us for CCSF Ocean Campus for the Connect 2024 Open House and Resource Fair, April 27th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Explore, engage, and empower. Gain financial aid for Shoes Cheese USA Scholarship for high school grads and undergrads, selected on the basis of their financial needs, academic achievements, and community involvement. Join the Neighborhood Emergency Response Team, NERT, for full training March 26th through May 1st, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at SF Fire Department Division of Training. Tickets at Eventbrite. Attend Estate Planning 101 with Hera, second Thursday monthly, February 8th through June 13th, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. at Booker T. Washington Community Service Center. Registration is required. Opportunities for All, OFA, offers career exploration and workforce development for San Francisco youth and young adults ages 13 to 24 living and or studying in San Francisco. 2024 Summer Opportunities, programs and camps for K through 8 kids, over 160 options for learning, engagement, safety, and health. Ready for fall school. Click for details. Dreamkeeper Initiative announces Kids Summer Camp at Prince Hall Computer Learning Center for grades K through 8. Free admission June 10th through August 2nd. For more information, please call the number below. DCYF Youth Opportunities, ages 14 through 24. Explore the opportunities for Youth Portal for summer jobs, internships, and more in San Francisco. For ages 14 through 17, watch for paid summer jobs opening this March. SOA City is Mine Tech and Sports Camp, April 2nd through November 26th, various times and locations for ages 7 through 16. APRI is hiring a Community Innovation Lab site manager. To apply, please see the link below. Kids in the City presents Hair 101 workshops, Saturdays, 1 to 3 p.m. at the Chase Center for youth 7 through 17. Learn about unique hair. Supplies will be provided in registration at the information below. Join SECC at the Hungry Cafe, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for co-working, eatery, and social space with delicious bites and local coffee at Southeast Community Center. San Francisco OEWD and Renaissance Entrepreneur Center offer business support services for small business entrepreneurs in Bayview and Fillmore, San Francisco. Minding Our Own Black Business initiative by BWOPA Tile honors Black women entrepreneurs. Nominate your favorite Black women-owned business today. DKI Senior Home Repair Program offers up to $50,000 forgivable loan to low to moderate income seniors and or disabled homeowners in distressed San Francisco neighborhoods. San Francisco Human Rights Commission holds regular bi-monthly meetings on the second and fourth Thursday of each month at 5 p.m. in San Francisco City Hall, room 416. Attend in person or via Zoom. Fathers to Founders support clinics every Tuesday and Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 232 6th Street in San Francisco. Get guidance on child support debt, license holds, custody, and visitation rights. DKI's Down Payment Assistant Loan Program offers up to $500,000 for down payment assistance and up to $30,000 for closing costs. Connect with housing counselors, lenders, and realtors. Walters Wellness Group hosts Sip and Paint Center every first, third, and fifth Friday. Unwind and set the tone for your weekend. Fueled by tea, creativity, and grounding. Hosted by Dr. Kathia Walters and her team. Join Fathers to Founders for Fatherhood Reimagined Therapy Group. Every Tuesday, 6 to 7:30 p.m., food will be provided. APRI hosts youth workshops, job referrals, resume building, skills, internships, networking, and community service hours. Fillmore's Friday Night Market, every Friday, 4 to 9 p.m. on O'Farrell Street between Fillmore and Steiner. Live music, food vendors, dominoes, prizes, and fun. Vendor booths are available. Ongoing vaccination sites offer COVID-19 boosters and monkeypox antiviral pills. See times and locations below. The Community Living Room offers free breakfast and grab-and-go lunch Monday through Friday at City of Hope Cafe. San Francisco Office of Financial Empowerment offers free, confidential, one-on-one smart money coaching, financial guidance in English and Spanish, available to anyone living and or working in San Francisco. Be a mentor with San Francisco Unified School District, Mentoring for Success. Sign up to be a volunteer as an individual or group mentor district-wide. Make an impact. Would you like to promote your business, nonprofit, or community impact? Sign up for our Hidden Gem show. Share your expertise on our Educational Thursday and be a panelist on our Sunday conversation. Keep up with both sides of the conversation's latest shows and community outreach events. Follow us on all social media platforms, community outreach events, and make sure that you subscribe to our newsletter at bsotc.org. BSOTC welcomes volunteers to join our mission to uplift and support the community. Make a positive impact. Become a volunteer today. BSOTC invites your support for our podcast and community engagement. Please explore our donation links. Your generous contributions will greatly aid us in enhancing our programming. We would like to take this time to acknowledge the Dreamkeeper Initiative and its support for BSOTC's programming and San Francisco's diverse Black communities. To learn more, please see the links below. Join us this upcoming Thursday, March 28th, for our Educational Thursday, as well as our Sunday conversations will return this coming April. Thank you.
All right, Sister Ayo, fantastic job. I wish I had the sound effects like Brother John, but thank you for giving the community all of the events. All right, community. I hope you appreciate all the hard work that we put in, because we definitely want to make sure that we bless you. And so we thank you for all the love. Thank you very much, Hotel California. All right. Oh, thank you for the Facebook, sending the blessings. So Okay. So we got people out there that's watching, showing love. We definitely appreciate you. So with no further ado, we want to get ready to bring up our first guest. Again, Miss Mary McClaverty Cayena. I want to make sure I got that pronounced correctly, but let me make sure I give her a proper introduction. Now, this here is the first rollout of a program that provides art and sports for children. All the Ways Up's vision is to deconstruct the constructs of the greatest weapons of mass destruction that men created, which was the creation of race, sex, sexual orientation, religion, creed, and etc. And it means to create a hierarchy and divide and conquer of the human race within. That is a mouthful. So, with no further ado, because we're tackling such a large topic, I am so excited. She's been on our platform before, but with no further ado, let's bring to the stage Sister Mary. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be on your platform once again. I promise to be on my best behavior.
We're
But yeah,
absolutely glad to have you.
thank you so much.
So please give the people a proper introduction, who you are, let them know what you got going on, how they connect with you. This is your opportunity to shine. The state platform is yours, sister.
Thank you so much, Mark Scott, as well as Io White. Once again, thank you to both sides of the conversation for having me. It's a great pleasure to be on your platform again. Now I'm being able to talk to you guys about All the Ways Up. I am the founder and president of All the Ways Up. All the Ways Up, I actually am the brand. I'm also it is my testimony that fuels All the Ways Up. Essentially, I actually grew up in Bayview, Hunters Point. I grew up on Big Block, also known as Harbor Road. And so life was challenging for me. My mother was a single parent raising 3 children up on the hill. But prior to coming to the hill, I had a very, very traumatic upbringing, if you would. With that being said, I was able to really transcend so much of the abuse that I had experienced. I've been sexually abused, verbally, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I've also been able to transcend those abuses, if you would, by really having a legion of angels who came into my life throughout my life to help me, whether their contributions were minuscule or vast, they were nonetheless contributions to be able to get me where I am today. I come from poverty, I come from the slums, but today I sit before every one of you as sorry, I have something in my eye, as a privileged woman. Like I said, I've been able to transcend. My mother raised me. She's Samoan. Some people know it as Samoan, but the proper pronunciation of it is Samoan. She was a single parent. My father is of Irish, Welsh, Scottish, and English descent. He did come in and out of my life, and we ended up having a wonderful relationship. But essentially, my mother raised me to be a warrior. I went from kindergarten to 12th grade. I've been to 8 different schools. And so life was very chaotic. And nonetheless, with all of that being said, I was able to, like I said, transcend so much. A lot of it was because my mother taught me how to be a warrior in the sense that, you know, regardless of what issues we were going through or what have you, she taught me how to power through it. And so what I was able to accomplish was my mother's one of 12, and out of the first, I have 45 to 50 first cousins. Out of the first 8, I'm the first one to graduate high school. I was also able to go to community college where I have 2 AA degrees, one in general curriculum, the other in social sciences. I also was able to go to the university. I got my bachelor's of arts in sociology from Cal State Hayward. But here's the thing about being brought up in the slums or in the projects, if you would. If you don't have mobilization, it is oftentimes you believe that what it is that you're experiencing is indicative of the world. You have no idea what is out there and so forth. What my mother did do is she worked in Daly City. So every morning we would wake up, my brothers and I, my mom would wake up at 4:30. We would be on the 545 bus, the 54 Felton, and that would take us to Daly City BART. We'd get there at 6:45. We would walk down the hill. The next leg of our trip, my mother didn't have funds or bus fare, I should say, to get us on that bus. So we walked down the hill. She started at 7. And then I was tasked with the arduous task of taking care of my brothers from 7 to 8:30. So while the average kid had about 30 minutes to an hour under their belt of being up, if you would, my brothers and I had already been up for 4 hours at that. So that journey, although it was arduous, what it did do was it allowed for my brothers and I to see different cultures, different subcultures, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different, what it allowed for us to do is it allowed for us to dream. it allowed us to see that there was potential for other types of lifestyles to take place. And with that being said, it gave us a skill set. It allowed for us to, like I said, dream. It allowed for us to think outside the box and to know that although we lived in the slums, that there was much more to life than what people were being exposed to living in the Point, if you would. And then at a certain point, we actually moved away from the Bayview Hunters Point. So we lived on Harbor Road, and then somebody tried to set fire to our place, and we moved to Double Rock. We were robbed within a week twice. And then we ended up moving to Alameda. And so moving to Alameda, we were able to obviously live in a better community. And it was a traumatic transition because it wasn't home. And although it was a better community, it certainly was definitely a transition because of the fact that it wasn't home. So I've been able, like I said, to be able to, I'm a trailblazer. I was able to transcend so much, but it's also an isolating and very lonely place to be. Because when you're the only one, there's no one that you can really speak to be help navigate that and what have you. So I've just been powering through life, if you would. And in the course of powering through life, what I discovered was that although I was a warrior, I discovered that warriors suffer from PTSD. And because of the abuse that I sustained, unfortunately, those remnants of abuse actually showed up in like 2021. And during that time, obviously the world was in a pandemic, and essentially I ended up not sleeping for 3 weeks. I also ended up in the psych ward twice. I tried to kill myself twice. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is because of the fact that All the Ways Up was born out of that trial and tribulation that I went through. And essentially, I had a breakthrough. And with that breakthrough, I know that God put me through those 43 years of hardship and pain in order for me to be the leader that I need to be and the champion I need to be, not only for the disenfranchised and marginalized, but also people that come from privilege. The thing of it all is that I've been able to straddle both galaxies. People often refer to it as worlds, but I say, no, it's not worlds, it's galaxies. And because I've been able to straddle both galaxies, I can speak to the experience of a person who comes from the slums or the projects, who comes from poverty. I can also speak to the experience of being a privileged woman and what that entails. And through it all, what my greatest discovery is that, and it seems so, it seems like such an easy thing to understand and comprehend, but even as intelligent as I am, I could not understand that people that came from the other side of the tracks, that they had problems. I thought that, when I was a young girl, I said, God, please just let me get to the other side of the tracks where the grass is greener, where things, their houses are pretty, the husband is beautiful, the wife is striking, their children are gorgeous, they have food in the house, they got a beautiful car, they go on vacations, they got accolades, they have degrees and so forth. But what I discovered when I actually came and I lived in this community in Alameda is that these people have issues as well. What I've also discovered is it seemed to me that they actually have more issues than people that live in the projects. Because unfortunately, what I discovered is that with money comes problems. And unfortunately, too, people who have privilege is not a bad word. It's when someone with privilege uses that as a form of entitlement to step on someone else's neck or back to get ahead. So, and with all of that being said, what I discovered is that people who come from privilege, they too sustain trials and tribulations of their own. And that at the end of the day, that we're all people. Physiologically, we're all made the same. If you take a black, brown, white, yellow person and you cut them, they all bleed the same. They bleed blood. And so in that discovery of mine, I had a dream, and as cliche as that may sound, and Martin Luther King is actually one of my heroes, and because he had a dream and he wrote about it, right? He had the "I had a dream" speech, if you would. I actually had a dream that I was going to create this organization, and I put it out to my. I talked about I have had a legion of angels that God put in my life. I actually call them today my League of Superheroes with amazing superpowers. So I'm not quite sure what the day marker is, but it might be day 33 or day 34. But it's been in a short period of time that I actually put my dream out there to my close, tight-knit community. And within 5 to 6 days, I was able to form my board of directors, my advisory board. I was also able to get my 501c3 within 2.5 to 3 weeks. And that's thanks to my vice president, who's Rick Breslin. On my board and my board of directors, as well as my advisory board, which I refer to as my League of Superheroes, I have money, power, clout, and title. Because that's what it takes in order to move my agenda. In order for what All the Ways Up is its vision and its mission in this world. And so essentially, I was able to accomplish all of that in such a short span of time. But what All the Ways Up, its mission has changed as I speak to leaders within the Bay Area and people who are actually doing God's work, such as people who have nonprofits, who are actually there doing the grassroots movements and so forth, right? Actually, the soldiers on the ground, actually making a difference for people who suffer tremendously, whether it be from privilege or whether it be from poverty. These people exist, and it is through them that we are able to see a lot of different changes and so forth. So All the Ways Up's vision is to ultimately deconstruct the constructs that were the greatest weapons of mass destruction that men ever created. And that was the creation of race, sex, sexual orientation, creed, and religion. These constructs were created in order to divide and conquer the human race from within. They were also created as a hierarchy so that we could go ahead and then classify people as the haves and the have-nots, and ultimately to subjugate a people or the Black or the African Americans and so forth. Their experience of being quantified or categorized as less than human, and the world being built on their backs and necks and so forth. And so our mission and the deconstruction of that is to ultimately, I can't save the world in one day. So I have to roll out my business model one segment at a time. And essentially, in doing so, our mission at this time is to create and foster an environment that has excuse me, you guys, sorry. It has inclusivity, inclusion, as well as equality, because nobody knows what equity is, but we all know what equality is and what it looks like, as a means to serve the disenfranchised, the marginalized, underserved, underprivileged child by utilizing the vehicles of arts and sports to give them life skills to catapult them to higher to new and brighter horizons. We've also fostered into our organization the privileged child, the advantaged child, as a volunteer, if you would, of sorts, in order for them to gain life skills such as empathy, such as grace, such as compassion. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't speak. Such as compassion, right, and as well as humility. I think that whether, regardless if you come from privilege or from poverty, those values, if you would, we can all learn from those things. right? And
Absolutely, absolutely. And Sister Mary, I'm sorry. I want to just jump in first of all and say thank you, because what you're doing is so profound. I think sometimes people don't really understand how important being unified is these days. And coming from your own personal experience, going through all the trauma and being able to emerge and still have this passion to unite, I was really, really intrigued, particularly because you talked about using the arts and sports and how you work with children. Can you give us a specific example of how your program has used arts and sports to kind of bridge these divides?
So thank you for the question. I have to say my organization is in its infancy. And so right now I'm really just building, right? Building my organization up. So much of what I'm doing at this point in time is meeting with actual leaders in the Bay Area that have actual nonprofits, if you would, in order to really pick their brains, ask them for guidance, advice and so forth to kind of lead me so that I can be successful in my quest to be able to use arts and sports. And so while I don't have an example of it right now, I can certainly tell you what my vision is in order to acquire that, if you would. So I don't have a facility right now. I'm actually looking for public and private funding. So if there's anyone out there who's listening tonight, I am looking for a grant writer. I am also looking for a CPA for nonprofit, if you would. That person would function as a treasurer, as well as actually doing the work, if you would, for our organization. So right at this time, I'm actually working on several events. And my goal is to really, based on some advice that I was given, it's really essential for me to connect with other nonprofits who've been doing the work, if you would, for a long period of time. I've spent a lot of time in San Francisco. I want to give a shout out to Be Magic, Mo Magic, Brittany. I also want to give a shout out to Collective Impact, James, and so forth, and for the work that they're doing, currently. And so I'm really hoping to be able to work with them. Because at the end of the day, like, they've got it down to a science, right? James has done phenomenal in his quest and what exactly, I call him a superhero, but he gets uncomfortable with it. A lot of people who are in these roles are extremely humble, right? They're extremely humble and so forth. And so to answer your question, my ultimate goal is to get a hangar in the city of Alameda on the old base. And essentially, there was a gym there called Bladium. It's now called the Hub. And so essentially, if you could just give me a moment to explain to you what the blueprint is. So essentially, within this hangar, they have indoor soccer, they have basketball, they have volleyball, they have a rock wall to climb, they have a boxing ring, they have just different types of sports within the actual hangar itself. They also have an outdoor soccer field. My goal is to get something of that sort and also incorporate the arts within that hangar, such as dance studios, such as having different types of art classes, if you would. I've chosen art and sports because here's the deal. Our nation and the world, what we do to pacify ourselves is we use entertainment. Entertainment is $1 billion industry. And sports brings people together, regardless of your color, creed, race, sexual orientation, or religion. It has a way of, Nelson Mandela, who's my other hero, he used soccer, I believe, sports, in order to bring that nation that had been broken with apartheid and so forth. And that and utilizing that's my goal, is to basically bring people together through sports, through the arts, right? These are all things that people actually do, if you would. And within doing that, it has dopamine, you know what I mean? You get, happy hormones, if you would. And so my
You
goal,
release those endorphins, right?
there you go. Endorphins. Thank you, IL. And, releasing that, right? Releasing good hormones and actually doing things in a communal way. That's the thing about like sports and also dance. I'm a dancer, and what it does is people don't even realize it, but they're actually cooperating and working together as one unit. And all of those constructs that were created to divide and conquer the human race from within, they dissipate. And it's so subtle. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, people understand when they're on a team, they understand that it takes a team to make the dream work.
That's right. That's right. I was just going to ask you, if I can interject, how did the arts and or sports help you to motivate you to want to get into this line and want to pour back into the community in this way? I too agree that arts and sports are one of the best ways to connect when it comes to community and bridging those gaps. So how was sports and or arts an influence for you in your own childhood to want you to give back in that way?
So I got to say, when I started my organization, it was just sports. Because here's the thing, I actually gained my life skills from the streets. And as I got older and got into higher learning and so forth, I was brought into this world with an arsenal, right? Because you need an arsenal to survive the projects. You need an arsenal to survive the slums. It's the survival of the fittest. There is no room for mediocrity and weakness. They will eat you up and spit you out, and they will go on with their day happily. It's the wild, wild west, right? But as I went through higher learning and so forth, I got a tool chest. And with that tool chest, I was able to navigate and straddle 2 galaxies. So that's the thing about me is that I'm able to, if I'm in the hood or whatever, I can speak to anyone, right? Because I can relate to them. I can see them for where they're at. I can have a conversation with them. They understand that they can relate to me and I can relate to them. I can go into a room full of people who are CEOs, CFOs. My vice president is a CEO of his own company called Hello Vino app. He's also the founder and president of a nonprofit called Bay Island Baseball. His wife is my secretary. She is the vice president of graphics for Constellation Brand. These people come from a different realm that I come from, but yet I can appeal to them and I can conversate with them because that's the thing about it. In order for us to rise above, we have to have a tool chest. And if you are going into the realms of poverty in the slums, you have to have an arsenal. You don't want to have to go there, but essentially, you for someone like myself, right? I've had to go into different rooms and read the room and know how to implement myself in that regard. So to answer your question, I gained my life skills through the streets, through a little bit of therapy, and through higher learning. Right. I have a degree in sociology. I know today the reason why I ended up getting a degree in sociology was to understand my world, to understand the macro and micro way in which society works. Right. My children are privileged, advantaged children. And thank God, because that means I've done something right. Right. I've been able to scale myself to another dimension. Or to another stratosphere, if you would. They were the ones that exposed me to sports, and they gained their life skills from sports. Sports is huge in the sense that now I know today that it gives you leadership abilities. It allows you to build team building skills. It allows you to have good citizenship. It allows you to foster in yourself the belief that I can do anything. right?
And speaking of fostering that belief, because again, it's obvious you're a wealth of information, and you could go on all night. And I do want to make sure we have opportunity to get to our other hidden gems. But to kind of surmise and wrap up, because you spoke of an arsenal, and it seems like with your program, your vision, you're bridging the gap all the way from the hood all the way to the upper echelons of society and unifying them and bringing skills together. And that's kind of that arsenal. So as you kind of wrap up and sum up the vision, what would be the words that you would leave to the community as an arsenal to start finding support for the vision and the movement that you envision through all the ways up?
Essentially, my job is to build bridges where there were not bridges, where bridges were severed, to mend those bridges, where there are walls, to break down those walls. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. But essentially, if we can do that as a human race, we will find that we have so much more in common than we do have differences. You understand what I'm saying? Even within, I'm Samoan, right? And I've often I have a lot of Black friends, right? And here's the thing, within the same ideals that colonizers used in order to break and divide and conquer, before colonizers went around the world and did what they did, white people did it to themselves. The Irish were at the bottom of the totem pole, right? So we are actually, whether we want to believe it or not, the ideals and the tools that colonizers use to break us down and break us apart, we actually are participating in that, not even realizing it, because colonialism permeated through the entire world. And it's so subtle and it's so strong. And we need to stop acting like having this crab in the barrel mentality. People say there's not enough, the 1% say there's not enough room at this table for all of us. I said, no, move the hell over. There's enough room. Make room. We can end homelessness. We can end the housing crisis throughout the entire world. There is enough room for all of us to eat from this pie. I know that for a fact. Everybody knows that. The 99% of us, if we rise up and we decide to actually take action, each individual take action in your everyday life by advocating for yourself, by having agency, by questioning authority, by educating your mind, we will be in a better place. There's 99% of us and 1% of the world has the power. Well, if you do the math, it's quite simple. Come together, the 99% of us, and we can actually forge and move forward. I know for a fact, regardless of what people believe politically, everybody's tired. Everybody's tired. And everybody's had enough of these politicians saying one thing and doing another. I will propose legislation to have something called an advocate in every government department. Because with that advocate, I will hire attorneys, because the attorneys know the law. They know how to work the broken system that we're in. And they will be the ones to hold those politicians accountable. Because as we know, when they get into office, they do a different song and dance.
And that is something that we have continued. And I think a lot of people, when they hear that message, will share the vision. Before we let you go, anybody you want to shout out to let, again, when you're on our platform, we want to make sure people who support you get their flowers as well. Anybody you want to give a shout out before we let you go? Yes.
I want to give my husband, who's my number one superhero that you guys were so enticed and wanted to meet, Joseph Kainya, a shout out for supporting me, even when I didn't believe in myself, and even when my own family didn't believe in me and decided to have nothing to do with me. I could have been on that street. This man loved me so much that he said, I'm going to love you and I'm going to be by your side, even when you don't want to be here, Marie. So I'm going to give him a shout out. I also want to give my children a shout out, because at the end of the day, when I got sick, see, when my children used to come into any type of issues, they didn't go to dad. They came to me. Because at the end of the day, I'm a natural born leader. I'm a fighter. I've been fighting all my life from the moment I was born, being a half caste, half breed person. But my children have loved me. I have a 16-year-old who's having a hard time loving me because, and I completely understand why. Because in that 3.5, 4 years, she didn't have the strong woman because I got sick. You see what I'm saying? But my kids love me. And I know through it all, my daughter will come to see one day that abuse, and as strong as her mother was, I didn't have a choice in that. Because if I had a choice in that, I would have rocked it. You know what I'm saying? But it rocked me. I also want to give my vice president, Rick Breslin, a shout out. I mean, this man is phenomenal. He's the closest thing to Jesus that I know. He's the reason why I have my my logo. When he told me that I should hire somebody professional, I pushed the envelope, which I always do. When people tell you no, push it back, question it. The people that did do that, such as Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the Black Panthers, Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, they are the reasons why we have the privileges that we have today. When he told me that I should hire somebody because I'm going to go big, I told him, no, you have the skill set. We have the same apps these people have access to. And I told him my concept, and he made it. It's like he literally pulled what you see before your eyes out of my head and made it come to life. He also created my website. Everything that I have today, I have no money, you guys. I have no money. Everything that has been created for me today has been free. My website, my logo, my business cards, everything, because people believe in me. I paid 43 years of my life to get to where I'm at today. People hear me and they want to be me because they want to be authentically who they are. But I paid the ultimate price. I want to give a shout out to Corinna Breslin, his wife, who is my vice president. I want to give a shout out to Mark Klein, who is an Amazon senior product manager. I already gave a shout out to my husband, who's my board of directors member. I also want to give a shout out to Taunu Uve'e, who's a state commissioner. She's on my advisory board. I want to give a shout out to Jen Williams-Obot, who is a city and county judge of San Francisco. She also is the president of the Alameda Unified School District Board of Education. I also want to give a shout out to my good friend. We know her as Coach Apple, for believing in me, for connecting me with people. I also want to give a shout out to Lisa Bonta Sumi. She's actually Rob Bonta, the Attorney General's sister. She's a beast. She has her own company. It's called Ath Mindset. She's actually doing all my marketing material for free. And she's been tremendous. And she had her private practice for close to 20 years. She decided about 3 years ago, if you may, to create a niche for herself. She's been featured on Time Magazine, Teen Vogue. She's also has her own, what is it called? TED Talk.
Wow.
She's a beast.
You've got quite an extensive team, Marie. You are an absolute gem. Again, I know the list probably could go on and on, but I do want to be mindful to the community and the rest of our guests. We definitely look forward. Marie will be joining us here on next month for an Educational Thursday. We know that's going to be impactful. Thank you for the investment and the vision that you are continuing to make, because we need more people who are here to unify and bring the community together. So, Marie, again, we want to thank you for joining us here on Hidden Gems. We send all the love and respect. Marie, you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye. All right, community. So as we get ready to transition, Sister Ayo, any quick thoughts?
Yeah, I just think that Marie's powerful background, her testimony is going to help be the motivating force for an amazing, amazing organization. Hopefully someone's watching this evening that will be able to fund her, give her the leg up, the reach back to pull her up, like I said, it's not about competition. It's about collaboration. So hopefully all things work out for her, the best of her.
Absolutely, absolutely. Love positive people doing wonderful things. And so we want to continue in that sphere. And speaking of some wonderful things that are going on, our next guest, Miss Marsha Maloff, she is here to represent the Mr. Q Scholarship Committee, which seeks to enhance and advance the health profession by providing financial support to students who are pursuing higher education. The Mr. Q Scholarship Committee is pleased to announce a scholarship award of at least $1,000 to a limited number of qualified students who are pursuing an academic degree in a health-related field. Now, this is not only just a scholarship, but this is to celebrate and commemorate a legacy of a life well lived. And with no further ado, we want to make sure we bring to the platform now Miss Marsha Malouf.
How are you doing? There. Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm here to tell you about this great scholarship opportunity. And almost 2 years ago, my beloved husband of 22 years passed away suddenly. And, Mr. Q, his name is Quan Malouf, but Mr. Q is how everybody in the city knew him. He was an amazing man. And he was born and raised here. And, from joining the Marine Corps right out of high school to providing health education in San Francisco for over 20 years, he lived his life to the fullest. His family and his friends and his colleagues are so heartbroken, but they wanted his legacy of travel, adventure. He wrote poetry. He was a magician. He rock climbed. He was a pilot. He was a skydiver. He did all these kinds of great things, but he also helped a lot of people along the way. And so through their real generous donations, they're providing money to fund up to 6 scholarships for a minimum of $1,000 each. The scholarship is being administered through the Bayview Hill Neighborhood Association by a committee that includes health professionals, educational professionals, students, and family members. And with that, he lived right here in the Bayview and, gave back to the Bayview, did a lot of training, education, taught CPR, worked with the San Francisco Conservation Corps to do things, and just was really an all around, great guy in the community. So the application process, we really want you to apply. It's really easy. The most important part of the application is the essay that explains how you envision your future helping to improve the health of others. And lots of professions help others. So it doesn't have to be like a doctor or a nurse. There's lots of professions that impact health of our community and in particular people of color. Now, the deadline for the application is March 31st. So we hope you still have a few days to apply. And if you like this approach of helping, you can donate as well. So, I don't want to take up your time tonight. Again, I am a long time San Francisco resident myself. And I just really want to give back and make sure that other people have the same opportunities that we've had. I just want to thank Mark and Io and Mark Henry for bringing the platform of both sides of the conversation to the people. I actually attended the event that both sides of the conversation had last month and honoring community heroes and gave out scholarships. And it was so great to hear those young people with their essays and what they did. And just inspiring. We want to have as many opportunities for anyone who wants to pursue any kind of education to have the funds they need to do it. And with that said, I'm turning it back over to you all. I'm a short speaker.
Well, it is absolutely an honor and a privilege to have you here. And you truly are a gem into the community. One of the things I think in this fast paced social media age that we don't know honestly how to honor legacies anymore. And could you talk a little bit about why it was so important to honor a life well lived and why that was kind of I don't even want to call it like a motto or a catchphrase, but it literally kind of embodies what a legacy is. Could you speak to that?
Well, that's really interesting that you would ask that kind of question, because in the Bayview in particular, we have a lot of great opportunities. Our nonprofits, and even including the one that Maria was talking about, people are really wanting to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to live their life, be happy, be fruitful, and be as free and creative as possible. And to do that, we need to have a little cash. Sometimes you need a little help up, as she said, to bring people, reach back. Didn't you say that, Io? Somebody needs to, reach back and bring her on up. But we also need to bring up all those people who are just even at the beginning of that journey. They may be, have worked and now decided to go back to school and become whatever. You're welcome to apply. We're hoping that people of color will apply. And that's why I'm really going out and really trying to make sure this is available to everyone. But as far as legacy goes, in the Bayview, we have a legacy fund that's part of the shipyard and all of the other types of things that we have here. This is just one little pebble in that basket that's overflowing of abundance that the Bayview community has to offer in San Francisco. I'm with Marie. This is a world of abundance, not a world of, scarcity. So let's act like it, right? Let's make it available. Let's share.
I agree with you. Growing up in the Bayview, we have such a rich culture, but unfortunately, it has been gone by the wayside. It is our mission here at both sides of putting the unity back in community. And it's not just about one ethnicity. You know what I mean? Because the Bayview was made up of so many different great people. And the importance of those legacies living on is what our driving force is. I wanted to ask, in honor of your husband and all of the great things that he accomplished and the great things that he was to community and the people that were privileged to knowing and being in his presence, what do you hope to achieve with this scholarship in terms of advancing the health profession and or supporting students of color and educational journeys?
I think you said it. Yeah, you said it. That's what I want to achieve. I really just want to help students of color. I really think that the Bayview hasn't lost its mojo. It really hasn't. And, this is an aside, but I'm active in the Bayview community as well. And one of the things that I've learned is that, over the last number of years, when we decided that, it's important to have culture in San Francisco. And we've always had that. We have Chinatown. We have certain parts of the city that are known for its culture, but we didn't have a place in San Francisco where people say, hey, well, this is where the legacy of people of color or Black people are. And so by designating these, particular areas in San Francisco as cultural zones, right? So we have the African American Arts and Cultural District here. It's amazing all the things we can do. Doesn't mean that we're not a diverse, multicultural community. There's lots of other types of people. There are Samoan, there are Japanese, there's Chinese, there are so many different types of people. There's Italians, there's everybody that live in the Bayview. But I think the most important thing that a cultural district can do, and people who are looking to provide that focus on legacy for the Bayview community, is to say, hey, let's talk about those things and how they all got together. How, yes, this part of town was strictly for the cattle running and butcher. That's why we called it Butcher Town. And that's why there were so many Italian people in the beginning, because they were really familiar with that kind of thing. So, of course, this was the original heritage right after Native Americans, right? And then Black people came because this was the only part of town that we could live in for the longest period of time. The only time we spread out in San Francisco was when Japanese were interned and Black people were moving into other parts of the city. But I tell you the truth, there's this legacy in this part of San Francisco of making a way out of no way. I mean, there's still parts of the Bay you don't even have sidewalks, you know? We were not a planned community, but we can plan for our future. And by doing that, we have to have the people in the pipeline that'll get us there. And you need some education to do that. Whether it's psychology, health, being a paramedic. Mr. Q was a paramedic for years while he was getting his degree. So yeah, you have to have people everywhere doing everything.
And what you're saying is so true. And I'll be honest, kind of as the outsider, because again, I'm from Houston, Texas. So the event was actually my first time to physically be there in the community, even though I've been volunteering here now almost 2 years. There is such a different heartbeat, a different spirit. It's something I felt that I recognized even as a Black person. Like, you know, you Black from America, we all have certain things that are common no matter where you go. But every community,
when you go to Houston,
its own fingerprint.
That's true.
And what is it that, again, because you said that the Black people had to make something out of nothing. And that's a lot of immigrants say the same kind of story, but it's something unique about ours, but we're still able to blend well with any and everybody. What makes the community there so unique?
Just that spirit of getting along. And that's the whole spirit of San Francisco, is that we are a melting pot. But we are we're in challenging times. As the speaker before said, there's 1% of people who have everything and the rest of us don't. There's power in numbers. There's power in knowing that you're doing the right thing and you're on the right side of history. And so we need to just step up to that. It's when people are feeling powerful, when they're feeling abundance, when they're feeling hopeful, then we don't let things like, oh, you can't live here, you can't have that. Oh, that's, who do you think you are? We don't have that mentality. No. We don't have that mentality. We shouldn't have that mentality. And I just refuse to have that. My husband did not have that mentality. Scuba diving wasn't just for other people. That was for him. He scuba dived all over the world. Skydiving just wasn't for thrill seekers. Skydiving and flying a plane were for people who wanted to see the world from a different perspective. He'd been to every continent. He traveled extensively, and that gave him a sense of power. And that's what it is here. We have that sense of power. There's no other place in the world where you can get anything you want, anytime you want, than in San Francisco. But why is it only in the Bayview we can't buy, a pair of pajamas unless you go to a drugstore? There's a reason for that. There's this notion that we don't deserve that, or that if you build it here, we're not going to get the best and people aren't going to support it. I've never seen a busier Starbucks than the one in the Bayview. So I'm just saying, I think we just need to have opportunities for everyone, and we need to make that available. And money should not be an obstacle for that. So if you're trying to help other people, and you're trying to do that, get a leg up. $1,000 will help you at least with some books, or help you, get a piece of car so you can get to school, whatever it is you need.
I think that what you just said was so powerful, that this was not a planned community, but we can plan community. And when it comes to community, I think that we limit ourselves of thinking about district wide. It can be each district coming together to build that unity for community of San Francisco and the betterment of the people in general. Like you said, $1,000 may not seem much, but for somebody who doesn't have that $1,000 to put towards what it is that their dream is, what they're trying to achieve, it's so much more. It's so much more. We are the melting pot. We are the melting pot, and collectively we can get so much further when we look at it as that, not just each person for self, not the crabs in the barrel mentality, as was said earlier, but more so of everybody, more like monkeys in a barrel, where they hook onto one another and you bring
everybody up. Oh, that was a good one. You played that game, Maya? I thought you were too young for that game.
No, that's Juices and Berries. That's the greatness of God. That's it, and that's all you know. But before we do get you out of here, Miss Marsha, thank you so much for this valuable information. And you guys remember the deadline is March 31st, so get those applications in as soon as possible. This is a great opportunity for the community, San Francisco Bay Area wide. So make sure that you guys get that information that's down in the link below and get those applications in soon as possible. But before we let you go this evening, we'd like to give you a chance and opportunity to give your shout outs to anyone who has supported, anyone who has helped you through this journey, and those who were privy to knowing your husband and his legacy that he leaves here.
Well, I have to give a shout out to all of his coworkers, because during his career at the health department in San Francisco, he worked in a variety of roles, and including being the director for the adult immunization clinic and in disease control and all of that. But his later years, he worked in the jails, and particularly during COVID. And as you all know, San Francisco jails were one of the few places that did not have huge COVID outbreaks because of the health education that was provided to San Francisco residents, so or inmates and that sort of thing. So I want to give a shout out to all of his coworkers at the health department, the sheriff's department. Our sheriff is amazing in, really marrying, the enforcement part of our system and incarceration part with the trying to help people be better. So if you get caught up in that system, though, it doesn't have to be the end of it for you. You can get out of that. You can make something out of yourself, and you're not going to be mistreated while you're there. So the sheriff's department and the sheriff's department's community and deputies have just been amazing. And then there's all the people that knew him, that were his best friends and all of that, who just said, hey, let's put some money together to help some other people so we can create some more Mr. Q's for the future. So I want to give those a shout out. And I want to give a shout out to the Baby Hill Neighborhood Association, who so graciously agreed to hold this funds and administer this through their nonprofit arm. And the leadership there is Shirley Moore and Barbara Tassa, Christopher Whipple, and we recently lost our treasurer, Mrs. Brown. She died a few weeks ago. So, it's that time where people are passing the torch. And I just want to give a shout out to my family, who's really been helpful in that. His bonus sons have been just amazing at moving this forward.
Well, you truly are a gem in the community. Thank you for gracing us with your presence and giving us the opportunity to give you your flowers for all the work that you're doing and continuing to push on the legacy. And again, community, you see this, please reach out, connect. If there's any way you can support, or if there are other people who have funds or want to contribute, please, by all means. As you can see, we have amazing people doing amazing things so that we can pass the torch properly. Thank you again, Ms. Marloff, for being such an amazing gem in our community.
Thank you both. You all have a great evening.
You too as well. Bye-bye. Wow, Sister Ayo, how you feel about that one?
I'm a little emotional, I'm sorry, but I think that the information is important, but that spirit is what the driving force is. Like I use that term not loosely, because we have to find that. Like she said, they put us in some of the worst areas, thinking that toss them out, right? The throwaway. But the way that we have been collectively able to unite in our different districts and unite and build community throughout the years, that's what it is. That spirit of our ancestors, that spirit of, you can give us the chitlins, but we're going to make a meal out of it. You can give us the scraps, but watch exactly how we come back and make it something popular. We came in chains, and now this is a thing, a part of a culture that everybody wants a piece of. So just think about that. Just think about that. Her spirit, her tenacity. I have nothing but the utmost respect for Miss Marsha. And thank you so much for all of that information.
I'll be honest, Io, you couldn't have captured that any more beautifully. And I'll just say, like, the way she's honoring her husband's legacy as a man, it convicts me to want to live a life that is worthy, that someone would want to honor my legacy. So she truly is a gem and an example. So that we can pick that up on a relationship conversation. But let's get going, because we got another amazing hidden gem.
Exactly, Mark. That's right.
Oh man. But our next hidden gem, that this brother here has over 20 years of experience being licensed. He's worked in the mortgage industry coming out of high school, been a husband of 10 years, has 4 amazing sons, originally from Maryland, moved to the Bay Area all the way back in 1991. He's been over 30 years putting it down in the community, but he has some amazing information about our financial literacy and education. This brother, again, what can I say? Like we got all these amazing hidden gems. And again, I'm so glad that we have the opportunity to see some men that we can celebrate. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and bring up to the platform Brother Jeff Allen. Brother Jeff, how you doing?
Good, good, good. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it. Actually, before I get going, I wanted to, thank you, Mark, Io, Angelique. I basically, I'm a Muslim man, and the Quran, it says, if you don't thank the people, you don't thank Allah. So thank you guys for having me, for starters. So, thank you, thank you. Okay. And let's see. So yeah, my name's Jeff Allen. As I said, I appreciate everybody here who's on and listening. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I do, and what I feel, want to give my contribution to our community. You guys can hear me, okay, right? Okay. I just want to make sure.
You're loud and clear, brother. You doing your thing. You go ahead. We're gonna let you have the whole screen.
Okay, no problem. I appreciate it. So, yes, as I said, I spent a number of years in the mortgage industry, real estate industry, and what I'm doing now, actually, I run my own business in the credit restoration industry, and I'm sure you've seen tons of people who, uh, do the same thing, which is great. And I learned a lot about the financial literacy industry just through trial and error. Making a lot of dumb decisions as a kid, just dealing with, the mortgage industry as well. Seeing a lot of things with, credit reports and things like that. So I won't take up too much time. I'll hop right into it. So for those who don't know what credit restoration is, basically, credit restoration is, in so many words, repairing someone's credit. Getting negative items removed from, the credit report through sending out, dispute letters, and, challenging certain things. So to explain a little bit, when creditors put report things on your credit report, there's certain rules and laws and stuff that they have to follow. And a lot of times these creditors do not follow those rules and laws. So when that's challenged, basically, and they find those errors, then they go ahead and have that stuff removed. So the process in itself is, we send out a letter to the creditors, and they have about 30 days to respond. If they do not respond, which most of the time they don't, we go ahead and get that removed. Or again, if they find, those errors. So that's generally what I do. And I got into that because I know how impactful credit can be. A lot of people say, oh, well, cash is king. Well, yeah, that's right. Cash is king, but credit is power. There are certain things that your cash won't get you. And I can confidently say that. You do need your credit. And again, I've learned stuff through trial and error. Some of the things that having bad credit can impact. Obviously, it can impact you from getting a house, it can impact you from getting a car, a cell phone. Believe it or not, it can impact you from getting a job. And I'm saying all these things because I've lived all these things. I got sick and tired of hearing the word no. You can't do this. No, we can't approve you for that. No, you can't do this. And it becomes nerve wracking, especially when you have a family and things like that. So I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I originally started out as a client and, got my stuff together. And, in 2020, me and my wife were able to, buy our first home and, which has been great and, been able to obtain some other things as well. So, having, great credit is very important. So, I mean, generally, there's a lot of things. Couple things I just want to go over and give some gems and some no pun intended, and some tips here on certain things to help boost your credit, right? So I'm sure a lot of you listening, Sister Ao, Brother Mark, and Jug, I'm sure you guys have credit cards and things like that, right? So I'm sure a number of you have probably asked the question, well, I make my payment on time. Why is my credit score stagnant? It's not moving. Well, one hack is with credit cards, it's all a game. Okay. So what I do is I generally teach people how to like properly boost your credit, properly pay your credit cards. So let me give you an example, right? Let's say you have a credit card with a $2,000 limit. Okay. And you spent, you max that card out, right? So you get your bill. Most people will pay their minimum payment, or they may, oh, well, I'm gonna just put an extra $50 on it, blah, blah, blah. And still wonder again why your credit score isn't going up. So here's a tip, right? What you want to do with your credit card, for example, there's two important dates on your credit card. There's your due date, and then there's a date that the credit card companies report to the credit bureau. Okay, I hope you guys got a pen and paper. This is vital information. Okay, so if for those who saying, well, how do we know when they report? Easy. Call your credit card company and ask them, hey, when do you report to the credit bureau? They'll tell you. Okay, it's usually a few days, maybe after your due date. So what you want to do is when you pay your credit card, so let's say again, you have a $2,000 limit, right? When that statement comes, you have your due date. The key is to have your credit card utilization percentage down to 10%, right? So a $2,000 credit card, you want to pay that balance down to at least $200, between $1 and $200, somewhere within that in that area. Okay. Now, after you do that, you wait a couple of days until they report to the bureau at that utilization percentage, and then do it after they do that. Then use your card over again, and do that as a cycle, over and over and over again. And I'm telling you, you will see a spike in your score. Okay. So the thing is that these creditors do not care what you do with your credit card. Okay. The only thing that's important to them is what the status is of that card by the time they report. They just want to see that low utilization. Okay. So that's kind of a gem. So me and my wife have been doing that for years. Okay. Again, anything I'm saying is not nothing we haven't done ourselves and seen results. So that's why I'm sharing this. And I'll tell you in a heartbeat, I'm not an expert. I'm not a know-it-all, but when you go through life experiences and learn these things through trial and error, it's like, okay, let me educate my people so they don't make the same mistakes that I did, as a youth, and things like that. So that's just one gem, I want to give, for you guys as a good credit hack, but just a little more about, what I do, and I'll wrap myself up as well here. With my program, basically, what I generally do is, if somebody has less than perfect credit, they want to, have a goal to buy a home or a car or whatever your goal is. I get you enrolled in my program. And basically, as I said, the back office sends out the dispute letters, and they keep sending out the rounds of letters until, your credit basically gets where you need it to be to accomplish what you want to accomplish there. And I'm always here for support as well. If you have any questions in regards to hey, I was thinking about doing this. You think it's a good idea? Or if you just have a general question about credit or how something works, I'm always here for that support. And if I don't have the answer, I'll go and find it for you. Um, and basically, you know, that's generally how the credit restoration works. As I said, it's it's no dragged out, difficult situation. It's pretty cut and dry. We go to bat for you, and I come from a place again of experience and genuineness. I really, really want to educate because, and I'll go ahead and say it. Our people, Black and Brown people, we weren't taught this stuff in school. Definitely wasn't taught by our parents or grandparents. And the thing is that people always say knowledge is power, right? No, it's not. Applied knowledge is power. Because I can tell you all this stuff all day till I'm blue in the face, but if you don't apply it, then it's not going to help you any, right? So, yeah, basically, as I said, I mean, it's a great tool to have, and I'm saying that because I went through it myself. Just like if you remember the Hair Club for Men commercials, I'm not only I'm the client too. Right? I let mine go, brother Mark, a long time ago. So, but yeah,
I did too, brother. Again, and we still make it look good. But man, I don't think enough people appreciate how important what you talk about with credit. There was actually a meme I saw today. I shared, and it was like, debt is the new slavery. And if you don't understand financial literacy and something as simple as ratios and how it impacts your credit score, and then how that limits what you get access to in employment as well as purchasing options. But can you kind of talk about, again, I think we all have had them experiences. We didn't rob Peter to pay Paul, but like, what are some of the key things that you see that people could shift immediately? Because I know some people have income issues where, income may be up and down, so they have unsteady payment histories. But if they could have like a general blueprint, a strategy, what would you say would help most people that you've seen?
You know what? I'm glad you said that because I wanted to share something too. So for those of you who are looking to buy a home, right? Let me drop something on you here, right? I've seen people come in, to try to get a home with a nice 750 credit score, but they got declined. Why? Something called debt to income ratio. Let me explain that real quick. So debt to income ratio is basically your debts divided by your income. Now, when you're buying a home, ideally you want your debt to income ratio to be at 50%. Let me just give you a small example. Let's say you make $5,000 a month. Your debts should not exceed $2,500. Now that doesn't just include the current debt you have now. That's also including the new mortgage you're going to get with taxes and insurance included. So if those calculations are off, it don't matter what kind of credit score you got because they are going to decline you because they're looking at it as, okay, you have a great credit score, but you make $5,000 a month. Your debt to income ratio is over 50%. If we give you this extra debt, can you afford to pay us back on paper? And the answer is no. You could be the nicest person in the world, but they don't care about that. They're looking at you on black and white. Your credit report's a story. And it tells the underwriters in these situations how you pay your bills and how you live your life financially. You could be the nicest person in the world, but they don't care about that. They want to see how you're taking. And that's why I said the credit card utilization percentage is important. It also tells a story. Are you living off your credit cards? Or are you able to manage them? So that's why I gave you that hack earlier, because it shows the credit bureau that, I can maintain my cards and I don't need to survive off of them, kind of thing. So, but I'm getting off track. But the debt to income ratio is a very important thing. So, with that said, before you buy a house, you want to make sure that you have as minimal debt as possible. The less debt you have, the more buying power you have. Credit's just one portion of it. You got to have all your ducks in a row. Now, do you need an 850 to get a home? No, you don't. You don't have to have perfect credit. You have to have a whole broad situation. Your debts need to be in line. DTI just needs to be 50% or less. If you're a veteran, they give you a little more leeway on the debt to income ratio. If you've served in the Army, military, that debt ratio, I think they allow about 60 to 65%. But ideally, 50%. Some programs, 45%. But ideally, on the surface, 50% debt to income ratio. You want to have at least a 640 or above to really get your foot in the door. Some programs will allow lesser credit scores, but ideally, that's where you want to be at. And you want to have a good payment credit history. You want to have things on your credit for a long period of time. If you're just opening accounts and you don't have that much credit established, it's just as bad as having bad credit. So I hope I answered that question. I hope that helps.
You definitely did. I just want to say I didn't understand a lot of it. I was like, oh, okay, I got approved. Okay, credit card, credit card, credit card.
Mhm.
And then when they start boosting my limit, I'm like, well, what am I doing right? Right? Like I'm
Mhm.
doing something right. Like, okay, I'm moving the needle. I'm moving the needle. But I can say for one, like this platform has taught me so much when it comes to financial education, because I, for one, was financially, when it comes to the crossing the T's and dotting the I's, I was ignorant to the fact. I just knew like you want to build the stepping stones, boom, 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 right? But once I started to actually divulge into the education wise and making sure that my money was working for me, as well as I'm establishing what I need to, paying the things off that I need to in accordance to, the timelines and everything, learning that, like you said, call up your credit card company and ask them, when is your report? I didn't know that. I was just like, okay, I know my payment is due on this day. So boom, I'm gonna make sure that I have it down to this much. And then I started getting like, they're like, oh, we want to up your limit. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm doing something right. Hey, shout out to me. But the importance of balancing that and utilizing your credit in the right way, we get kind of spenders happy, you know what I mean? Like that retail therapy is like, oh, charge it, charge it, charge it. However, if you are not able to pay that off, it's going to work against you, and
Right.
also what you are purchasing is another big thing, because that's also something that is looked at. I wanted to ask you, from your experience in financial industry, what is your approach to the credit restoration and financial literacy and education for people? If people are like, okay, my credit got just destroyed and I wasn't financially responsible, and now I'm trying to build it. What are some steps and information that you could give people in restoration of your credit?
Well, one thing I'll say is it starts with a mindset. You have to change your mindset and your way of thinking. First off, um, as far as approaching, when I'm talking to clients, I ask a series of questions to see if credit restoration will even be, a good option for them, because it's not always maybe the best option. If somebody may have one or two little things, it may not be worth it to do so, right? Um, So, I mean, as far as credit restoration, as I said, I mean, if you have like late payments, you got, a bunch of inquiries, all this stuff. I mean, I would definitely, again, look into getting into one of those programs to get those things removed. Because what happens is, and I'm sure maybe some people know, maybe some don't, things tend to stay on your credit for 7 years. And so the thing is that you can wait that time frame, but if you have goals and plans and things like that, you want to get that stuff off of there, because even if you paid something off, it's going to still stay on there. So you want to make sure to get those things removed. So I guess an approach, if somebody's looking to kind of get their things together, um I would just say, hey, get with me, my information's here. We could kind of do an evaluation. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to get up in your business a little bit, but is just to basically for the main point of finding out if this is going to be a good solution for you. Because don't get me wrong, I'm not here to say everybody needs credit restoration, because everybody doesn't. If you got one or two little things, I'll guide you on what you need to do to take care of those couple of things, and you don't need a credit restoration program. Okay, so I do this with the most genuine heart possible. I'm here to help people. As I said, I know what it feels like to be on that side of the fence, and I hated the feeling, so I know it hurts, and other people hate it too. So I'm coming from a place of being very genuine when I talk about this stuff. I sincerely mean that. I can't stress that enough. My
Do you mean that for real, brother Jeff?
I do, and here's why. The reason I mean that is because, when you chase helping people versus chasing money, you'll see different results. Again, it's a mindset. I put more of my focus on helping people. The rewards will come. But if I'm just chasing money, hey, get my program, thank you, see you, with no guidance, yeah, you may make a quick buck. And this is any business owner who's in the business of helping people. I'll say this to you, you may make a few dollars, but it's not going to get you far and you're not going to last long. Um, and that's why I said it's a mindset and the way of your thinking. When you put your focus on helping people and uplifting your community, just like you guys are doing, the rewards will come, and I do sincerely mean that. And like I said, I'm a man of God, and I ain't trying to get punished. So, so yeah.
You
So
know what? And I'm glad you said that, because it was setting up my question, because I don't want to keep you all night, and we do
sure.
appreciate your patience. But one of the things I've seen attached to credit restoration, and there seems to be some confusion on that, maybe
Sure.
you can help enlighten the community. What are these CPNs? Or they're like, if your credit, there are people that are saying, hey, if you've messed up your credit and your social security number, you can purchase a CPN. It's like some type of established, it's like buying another credit identity or something to that nature. And I've heard people have said some positive things. Then others I've said, like, they said don't do it because somebody actually, I think, got arrested trying to purchase a vehicle using a CPN. So to make sure our people don't get caught up in the scam, so they know how to know what's real and what's not.
Hey, you know what? To be honest with you, Mark, I've heard what you're talking about, but I'm really not versed in that, so I don't want to give the wrong information to any of the listeners, because I don't want to be responsible for giving any wrong information. Are you referring to when people like change their name and stuff like that? Is that what you're referring to? Or
I
is it something
don't know
different?
about changing the name, but I do know is like called a CPN, and
Okay.
it's some type of number. It's not an EIN number, but I just know when you get into the financial literacy space, there's a lot of
Mhm.
people, like you said, that are just chasing a buck, and unfortunately, because our community isn't educated, we think there's a lot of hookups or shortcuts,
Mhm.
and instead of going through the process, because essentially the service you provide, it will shorten the process of somebody restoring their credit the right way. But
Yeah.
again, we want to make sure, and again, the way you
Yeah.
answer it perfectly, y'all see
Yeah.
that community, he ain't
I
even
don't
gonna lie to you, he gonna tell you the
know.
truth. He don't know, but I bet you he'll get the information.
Yeah, and I like I said, and as you said, and I'll real quick. Yeah, I go about things the right way, and that's probably why I don't know about that, because it sounds familiar, but I'm not even in a position to answer that because I don't know anything about it. And again, I told you beginning, I'm not a know-it-all, so I have no idea what that is. So if I would just what I will say about that: be mindful, do your research if you're going to do something like that. And research isn't just Google. Do some real research, and before you get into something like that. So yes, yeah, definitely. I'm sorry I couldn't answer that one for you.
No worries at all, but we thank you and appreciate your honesty, honestly.
Mhm, mhm,
Before we let you go, of course, we'd like to give you the opportunity to give any shout outs, any upcoming events, or anything
mhm.
that you would like to let them know. Make sure that they see your website and everything like that. So go ahead.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys again. Yeah, just I want to, shout out my wife, my four sons. Everything that I've done from childhood. I met my wife when I was fresh out of high school. We've been married 10 years. I've known her for 20 plus years. Um, if it hasn't been for her, there a lot of the stuff that I've good things wouldn't have happened that happened for me. So she's definitely a huge staple in my life. Obviously my parents, my mother and father. I'm fortunate to have my father's still in my life. Love that guy to death. And no disrespect, I know a lot of us young men don't have fathers in our life, and I'm fortunate to have that. And he broke that cycle, and able to pass that on to my four sons. So shout out to my family, my sons. um and shout out to my team, to my mentor Billy, my homeboy Brandon, who works with me, my homeboy Lamar, a couple of my agents that work with me. And yeah, as far as if anybody needs help with their credit, please feel free to contact me on Instagram. My thing's been running, right here on the bottom. And message me directly. What I generally do, I'll say this: I do not give information over text. If you need some information, I'll give you my number. I'll take yours. We will call, we will talk and have a conversation over the phone. So do not ask me to text your information. And then if I could real quick, I just want to just leave two quotes with you guys. because that was my wife right there commenting there, Katana. There she goes. So I want to just leave with two quotes, and this is for all entrepreneurs. I listen to a lot of motivational speeches and read a lot of books in the morning when I'm taking my kids to school. We're not listening to, the littles, babies, and all these other people in the mind, whatever. We're listening to stuff that's uplifting. So two quick quotes for entrepreneurs and people who are starting a business and may run into just, things that are discouraging, you feel like giving up, or your hopes and dreams. So those of you who have dreams, one quick quote, imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. Albert Einstein said that. Okay. Imagination is everything. It is the preview to life's coming attractions. What does that mean, real quick? Is that anything that you imagine is what God has for you. Right. And Steve Harvey actually said this. He was quoting Albert Einstein. This ain't mine, so I won't take the credit. But God always has a life for you, what's in your imagination, right? So whatever it is in your imagination, which you imagine that where your life's going to be, that's what your life's going to be. And what ties into the next quote which is from the Bible, and I believe it's in Hebrews. It says, "Faith is the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen." Right? So everything starts with hope. And last thing, and I'll go. So let me give you an example of that. Right? You guys remember phones with the cords, right? So somebody a long time ago was talking on the phone with the cord and said, "Man, I wish I could take my phone all through the house and outside." Well, we have cordless phones and cell phones, right? Or somebody said one day, "Man, I need to get over here from America. I can't drive to Europe. I wish I could fly." And people might have called him crazy, like, "How are you going to fly?" Well, how do we get across the country and everything? That we have airplanes, right? Everything started with an idea. And then with that idea, when they started to see things manifest in it started with hope and then faith. And you have that faith. So my point is this: anybody who's starting a business or in business and having hard times, keep the faith. Remember, you want to crush a dream, tell it to a small-minded person. Okay. They have no control over what God has in store for you. And I just wanted to share that with any entrepreneur online. Definitely keep those two quotes in mind. It's very powerful to help change my life. So I know it can help change yours, and I'll leave it at that.
Well, thank you again, Brother Allen. You truly are an asset to the community. No longer are you hidden, though. You've been on Hidden Gems. We've had the opportunity to put you in front of the community. Thank you again for being a shining light and example. Community, y'all see the information. If you need some help or have some questions about the process with credit, please get with this brother. One thing for sure, he's going to be straight up with you, and he's going to tell you the truth. If he don't know, the man has integrity. He's demonstrated that, and he gave you the word of God to quote on. So, Brother Allen, thank you again. No longer are you a hidden gem. You're part of the family, and you're welcome to come back anytime. Look forward to having you back on the Educational Thursday so you can get a little deeper and teach on that.
Yeah, I'm actually registered once we get off, so I'm on it.
Blessings to you, brother. You have a wonderful night. Go take care of that wonderful family of yours.
You too. Thank you.
Sister Ayo, how you feeling about that one?
I just want to say, leading from our topics of discussion on our past Sunday conversations, these are two great examples of Black unity. Beautiful, family-driven. It just warms my heart and my spirit, and showing the passion and the patience that it takes.
No,
anything is possible. Infinite possibilities, y'all. Infinite possibilities. Great gems this evening so far.
Oh man, great gems. And speaking of great gems, our anchor for the night, not a stranger, has been here before. But this brother here, Mr. Coffee J, was raised in San Francisco's Hunter Point and has turned his life into a socioeconomic justice crusade, leveraging hip-hop's power. Now, again, he's received numerous accolades, worked with a lot of organizations. Again, this is just one of those brothers, when you hear his voice, he says what he means, and he means what he says. So with no any other further ado, let's get our last gem up here to the blood. Hold on. There we go. All right, Coffee J, how you doing, brother?
Well, other than my computer just crashing and me jumping right back on here just now, I'm good. I'm good. A little flustered, but it's good. It's good.
But when you look cool, everything looks good.
Word.
Technology does that to us sometimes, brother, but
Yeah.
that's why we just keep pushing through. Again, thank you for being here. We're going to turn the platform over to you, man. Talk to the people, tell them who you are, what you got going on, and how they can connect with you.
Absolutely. Yo, first I want to give Brother Jeff his flowers because when I started probably about 10 years ago, a little under that, I probably had a low 5 credit score, and I went to a credit restoration spot. And I don't toot my horn too often, but I think this one works out. I just got an 805 credit score about a month ago. It's been a long time coming. And I just attended my first workshop with the down payment loan assistance program for SF. So folks, get your credit up. It's really important. But yeah, I'm from Hunters Point, San Francisco, Palou and Third. Shout out to my mom and dad. They still there. But I've been trying to find my base of power my whole life. And I think it's a lot of our kids do. We don't really look into the normal spaces like college and really see ourselves. One of the biggest reasons kids drop out of college is not seeing it as a fit. And I think oftentimes it's because we're looking to find ourselves in a world that don't really fit us. So it took a long time of being really pissed off before I started investing in my number one passion, and that's hip hop culture. I think at that time I was just a rapper, and during that time, as a side hustle, I've always been an educator for about 20 years. And that quickly came together. You know, about 10 years ago, I started an organization from a clipboard on Haight Street called Hip Hop for Change. And I just left a little over a year ago after we broke $1.5 million, taught about 35,000 kids K through 12 the history of hip hop, how to do it in a way that represents who they are instead of what they see in white media. And we threw a lot of hip hop shows rooted in a lot of different social justice issues, women's empowerment, environmental justice, things like that. But I've spent almost 15 years doing hip hop organizing, and more than an MC anything, I'm a hip hop organizer. You know, right now I'm really just trying to tell the world through my work and through my lectures and through my programming that hip hop is the strongest organizing tool we have. So essentially what I try to do in my job is get hip hop artists that represent the culture paid in any way I can. Latest iteration of my work is Hip Hop for the Future. That's focused mostly on public health. You know, I've been kind of disillusioned lately. You know what I'm saying, with the loss of things like Roe versus Wade and San Francisco. You know, voting out the board members of color. I've kind of moved out of anything that doesn't have to do with self-determination for Black people. And right now, I think the biggest thing that I can do with my efforts is try to connect people to healthcare, wellness resources, food, education, just to make sure that they can live a little longer and fight the good fight. So I've been really focused on this event called Drip Fest in conjunction with Freedom Ford. Shout out to Francesca Gonzalez. She's the executive director and my co-conspirator in this, but it's the largest health and wellness free hip hop show in the Bay Area. We got that coming up April 13th, y'all. It's all free, all ages, 12 noon to 5 p.m. And we got the historic lineup. We got Yo-Yo, no need to even explain, a legendary MC in her own right. Cy Rock, the Goddess, Stennerman 02. We got Breakers, Oakland Originals, live Graffiti Art, DJ Ghana, DJ Lex, DJ Lady Ryan. And we're going to have a couple dozen healthcare and wellness organizations providing free services. Shout out to Moja Health coming out there. Because there are organizations that have resources. Some of those organizations look like we do. Some of those organizations are staffed by people who come from where we come from. And the problem I see is not many people know how to throw a really fat hip hop show. It's the strongest organizing tool we have. So when we're in a place like the African American Arts and Culture Complex, bring these organizations that have the resources, we can kind of start to reimagine the healthcare ecosystem. Besides that, I've been doing Hip Hop Therapy 101. Shout out to the mental health therapists who want to do culturally relevant programming. And shout out to the San Francisco Department of Public Health for putting me in their clinics, working with their therapists, trying to show how we can use these cultural tools to make a safer space for people like me to feel comfortable working on our mental health. Other than that, I still do K through 12. People hit me up for lectures, keynotes. Again, my job is to get hip hop artists paid, supported. And I even do a radio show on KPOO every Sunday, 12 noon to 3 p.m. for local Bay Area hip hop artists too. I'm gonna stop right there because I do a lot. I'm tired.
Brother,
I don't have the soundboard, but can we just get a
King.
Come on, brother. That's right.
Yeah. Did I mention I'm also a single black father as well, tired. I know how to braid hair really well now. So there's that.
Brother, when I say you epitomize what a king is in modern day, brother, let me just salute you, man. Because for one, like I'll be honest, it's hard not to be a hip hop fan growing up in America. Okay, born in the 70s, come of age in the 80s when hip hop was born. Grew up on 90s when the West Coast really took off, but down south, like we always had a respect for intelligence, consciousness, and God-fearing music. And as we've seen the genre mushroom and blossom and literally infiltrate every sector of society, and to where the point it became a tool and got weaponized against us.
Yeah.
How do you keep your fire burning against the onslaught of quote unquote trying to be relevant, trying to feed your family with what you love and still defend it? Because like I ain't gonna lie, like I've been on one because there was a DMX verse that was dropped on the album that just came out on Joyner Lucas, and then the Kendrick Lamar verse where he's going at Drake. Like I love lyrics, like it's hard not to like that, but I'm also like, you know, again, with all this influence, all this attention, like I know they could be doing more with it. How come the people who are trying to do it don't get this kind of publicity and shine? And how do you keep your passion navigating through this?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, a lot of people always ask me, am I trying to change the industry? And no, they can keep that. You know what I'm saying? Everything we've ever done, they have beaten us down over the head with it. And the next thing we create, they're going to beat us down over the head with it on their white media. I would be a fool to try to change that. You know, if white women can't save Roe versus Wade, I don't know what efficacy I have, you know what I'm saying, with that. But also, you know, my journey of being a hip hop activist, I've had to defend my culture and my artistry and my people's creation, and are not being a monolithic representation of stereotypes that are consumed mostly by white men who don't want to hear black women talk about nothing that'll make them feel bad. You know what I'm saying? So that's they gonna do what they do. I can't control white men and what they invest their 92% of all the wealth in the nation on. And I think we would be wise to separate that paradigm from our cultural excellence, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I had people say, yo, but these kids, you know, are this or that, or hip hop's this or that. Well, first off, those people ain't came to my show, and I've been working my behind off, struggling. I got to stay in white neighborhoods talking to white people trying to get money because I'm still trying to get enough people to come to my show. And I know there's so many people that are mad at KMEL. And so many of those people have been to my show. You know what I'm saying? So if you ain't gonna be about it, like it's really time to stop talking about it. Because I get more tired of hearing people that are tired of what white people are doing in their own situation, while they're not elevating the kids that are coming up right now, and that leaves those kids with nothing but negativity on this side, and a lack of inspiration, connection to their ancestors on that side. So what are they gonna rap about? What these white kids are investing in. So unless I'm gonna create a classic and show these kids the history of hip hop, so they can say, oh man, because look, I go to, like, a lot of people ask me, they say, yo, do you tell these kids what to rap about? I'm like, I don't have to. After I tell them an hour of the history of hip hop, you think they're gonna say some stupid stuff in front of me? Do you think they would want to say something stupid after hearing me speak for an hour? No, and that's why when I do Drip Fest, I always have somebody like Yo-Yo, and then somebody like Stunner Man. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna kill that in a generation. And you know, we have to be that change we want to see, or we got to stop acting like we want to see that change. So we can either shake our hand and get mad at young black kids for what white men are buying, and you know, that's just misplaced anger. You know, and I often tell band teachers, yo, a tuba. All our kids got band classes playing white music, and that tuba costs $4.5 grand. A set of turntables costs 12. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about? You know, we get mad at kids for not wanting to play William Tell's Overture, and I'm over here scratching it with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, that's just what it is. So we can either stop. You know, we can either you know put the evil, you know, call it and give it a name. You know what I'm saying? But that name has to be taken off of our young ones. We have to be the leaders here. And I, as a 41-year-old head, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got to be about it. I shut up. And luckily, I'm a rapper too. You know what I'm saying? I'm a pretty good lyricist. I'm one of the dopest MCs in the Bay. So I got to walk my talk. And when you talk to a homie, you don't ever not put no hidden gems in there. You know what I'm saying? You gotta put that in there. So I don't know. I just found a way to get some money behind it. And we're gonna be broke no matter if we make a 40 grand, 100 grand, 150 grand, you know. But if we're tired because we're doing something that lifts our people up, it's a different feeling than if we're tired because we made 150 grand, we're still as broke. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
I agree. If you're broke mentally, then no matter dollar amount that you gain, you still have no royalties. So
Yeah.
I appreciate, I too love a lyrical genius. I like to listen to lyrics. You can have a great beat, but the music is what moves you. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I can listen to a great beat and not understand a word that they're saying just because the music, the drum is what is natural to us. However, if you got a great lyricist on top of that, it's gold. It's gold.
Gold.
But
And,
not too many of our great lyricists get the opportunity and get that platform to be raised up because it's not what's popular, right?
Yeah.
The education of music and utilizing it to make sure that you're growing your passion and putting it out there is so important. My son was very fortunate to get to do an internship last year learning engineering and production. One thing Brother Mark says, you know, we got to get more of our children in trade schools and things like that. But if our children's passion is in this thing, let's put them in a way that they'll be able to profit for it, but also educating them about each and every breakdown of the music industry. Not just you want to be a rapper. Okay, what else in the music industry can you put your passion towards? You know what I mean? And it seems like you knocking off every aspect and bringing everybody along with you.
I mean, I think number one, it's you can't do nothing by yourself. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you wanna go quick, you know what I'm saying, you might go by yourself. But if you want to go far, you know what I'm saying, like it's just how it goes. Besides the fact that Black folks is a collectivist type of culture, and you know, when you don't have efficacy in all these systems, you might not know what goes on in the bank because you ain't never felt comfortable there. But I know what goes on the block, and we can get this money in the way we get this money. But you know, I'll say this, you know, when I hear, you know, these. And, you know, just like Brother Jeff said, I don't listen to the littles, but I do watch documentaries on them. I watch documentaries on the shootings and killings and the gang violence that's going on, just like I watch documentaries on Tribe Called Quest. You know what I'm saying? When I hear these guys rapping about killing each other, I think a lot of people think those boys are terrible. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what I think. When I hear them rapping about that, I think, damn, that's sad that they're getting money for this. Because if all I got was $100,000 signing bonus to get out my mom out the projects, I'd be rapping about that too if that's all I knew how to do. You know what I'm saying? So why do these kids only think they could be a rapper? And now because of Kanye, they could be a producer too. You know what I'm saying? That's all they know because we're not giving them those options. So when I go into a school and tell a kid I started $1 million nonprofit on hip hop, they're like, "Whoa, you could do that?" You know what I'm saying? You know, and it was random for me to even get into this pathway. So we got to create these platforms so it's not so damn random. You know what I'm saying? So they can see what this hip hop artist or this hip hop photographer, you know. So when they go to college and they want to be a lawyer, they don't just think I'm going to go to some crusty, crunchy white law firm and that's the only way to be successful. They can say, yo, I might not be able to start my own law firm based on this white institution, but what if I became a hip hop lawyer? You know, I could make my own business lane where there's no supply and there's damn for sure demand. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how we need to start thinking, because when we think about our own cultural practices and how they mesh in the needs of our people, I think we do wild things. And then our people start learning stuff. And then we stop complaining so damn much about what Cambiel is doing. Because when you go to their shows, it's going to be a bunch of white kids from the suburbs shooting their little finger guns and you know, feeling like they N-words for the night. And I can't change that. But if y'all don't come down April 13th to the African American Arts and Culture Complex with all your babies and your grandmas to see Yo-Yo Breakers rappers and support me so I can have enough people there to get some damn sponsorship, then we've got a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I work too hard and it's too pivotal for us to take back the culture. And for culture to be taken back, you need culture bearers. And when they're bearing so much weight of white supremacy, they don't have enough time to even put the energy into bearing the culture. So if it's up to us to make those platforms, I need all your money. I need y'all to come. I need y'all to donate monthly. I need y'all to, you know what I'm saying? I need y'all to speak my name in rooms that I ain't in. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what can happen. I can't change the industry, but I could build a summer jam quarterly right here with Freedom Forward, the Department on the Status of Women, Hype Center, Emoja Health. We can build a quarterly public health summer jam if y'all rock with me. And if not, I'll keep trying, but I don't want to hear no talk. That's just it.
No, but that's a real call to action of purpose and power, because at the end of the day, the people still have the power in the attention decision that they make and how they aim where they spend their money. And I don't think we really understand the level of conditioning, because that's a whole nother conversation. but one of the things that I was reminded of listening to you speak, brother, because there's something very powerful that resonates in your voice about the authenticity of what you do. When you're in your creative process and you're putting together your own creations to put out, what kind of thought do you have? Because one of the things that's always been very predominant in our ancient cultures was the place of the griot. These were people who were their whole life purpose was to recite the stories and keep the history and traditions going orally and pass it on. And this is what our hip hop artists have done. Like some of the things that have been put on wax, some of the rhymes that have been said 30, 40, 50 years ago. Now you can find people that could quote it word for word, ball for ball, with the same intensity and emotion. So do you think about that when you're writing and creating for yourself and what you put out?
I think especially as an older MC, knowledgeable of my station and what our people are going through. I mean, it's funny you should mention that. In 2 months, my next album, Critical Race Hip Hop, comes out. So, I'm pretty, I got a song with Richie Rich on there. I got a song with Scared from Living Legends. And yeah, it's time, you know what I'm saying? But to be quite honest, when I was young, I would just produce songs on a whim. And then 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, I'd be like, oh, I got to bust down 13 songs out of the 70 I recorded. And it was just that. When I sat down for this album, I wanted to say something for what our people needed, i.e. the griot, the cultural leader with the word. So I sat down and I made that. And I teach hip hop and I teach how to write. You know what I'm saying? There's only a couple of ways to kind of organize your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? And it's just methodology. It's a process. And if you get your process organized, you can record songs like Prince, you know what I'm saying? Like if you can do a song a day and you know how to do all them instruments, you can make it happen, you know what I'm saying? Even Eminem, he hits the studio, he hits the office at 9 a.m. and leaves at 5. He's out, you know what I'm saying? And he treats it like a job. So I think usually for me, it's when I get pissed off, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I have some practices that I've been doing for over 25 years that, helps me to get my words out, helps me to work on the syllabic intonation, helps me to go back, helps me to step back and look at the macro to see if I'm carrying along a theme, and then I have processes for afterwards of how I turn that into an actual song, because verses and, hooks ain't no song, at all. It's a lot larger than just writing some bars. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing, the difference between rapping and making a song.
So I hear you say the education of hip hop. How do you see hip hop evolving as a tool for societal change, as well as utilizing hip hop as a way to educate our youth in our community?
Well, let's think about it. Hip hop is a culture, right? Culture is just shared practices, right? That's it. So when we talk about how it's changed the world, like we have these shared practices that have gone around the world. You got homies in Glasgow and Mumbai, you know what I'm saying? Like you got people making change in the Philippines and Syria through raps and stuff like that, through shared practices that we all recognize. I'll go teach a class in this Mandarin school and I don't need to speak Mandarin. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not a therapist, but I went and did a badass hip hop mental health therapy 101 workshop, It's just information, and I can, spit that because I'm an MC. But I think the biggest thing is that, when I see, the movie industry, I don't expect all these movies to be rosy. I expect the movie industry to be a representation of all the potential stories in the world. And regardless of what the industry is, I still see hip hop on the ground as just that diverse, you know what I'm saying? So I think these shared cultural practices And mind you, we pull the card, black folks. Hip hop is for everybody, but you know what I'm saying? We rooted this culture down in our own majestic, melanin magnetic, culture. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's soaking it up, and I love it because we hold, the reason why black people are quote unquote the most creative, because I don't really think that we're any different. You know what I'm saying? But what I do think is that we're born not thinking we have efficacy at the bank. You know what I'm saying? We don't have efficacy. What we do have efficacy is they can't take my flow. You know what I'm saying? They can't take my samba. They can't take my they might be able to take my house and shoot my granddaddy. You know what I'm saying? But they cannot take me rapping about this, and they cannot rap like this. So of course it's inherent that we do these things. And if we can build a business around some stuff they can't take, that's where we shine the most. So I don't know. Y'all better see y'all at Drip Fest. That's all I know.
Well, brother, for sure, brother. Like I say, we're not gonna keep you all night. Thank you so much. Like King, for real. I salute you. I celebrate you. Like it. I don't think enough people respect the genius level of intellect that it takes to take concepts and compose them lyrically. Like this, you are literally a wordsmith champion.
Can I just say one thing on that? But I gotta say this, I just went to the Scarface concert on Friday, at the Regency, and I was like, that's an MC. You know what I'm saying? But regardless, I am an MC. But guess what? I didn't invent nothing, homie. You know what I'm saying? The game was given to me by my ancestors, and I'll be damned if I would be the roadblock that doesn't pass that on. Because they died for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not good because I'm special. I'm good because I learned my history. And I learned a certain level of effort that I got to put in life in order to speak about myself like I'm dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. And so it's not me. It's just the fact that, I didn't have efficacy anywhere else, except when I said, I'm going to walk into this college lecture with my gold grill and an white supremacy hoodie and see how they feel. And that's something they can't do. So that's all I'm saying. It's like, we've got a long, long storied history of black examples. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing the same park jam that Kool Herc did. You know what I'm saying? That's
for
it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, brother, any last shout outs you want to give before you bounce? Again, want to make sure you have the opportunity. This is your platform. You're the gym right now.
Well, first and foremost, I want to shout out my partner, Francesca Gonzalez, Director of Freedom Forward in the Hype Center. Shout out to Director Ellis of the Department of Status of Women. That black woman is queen powerful. Man, thank you for supporting Drip Fest. Dr. Kim Rose of Moja Health coming through, another powerful person in our community. And yeah, just all the artists. Yo-Yo coming through, Cy Rock, The Queen again, Stunner Man 02, DJ Lex, all these folks that are coming in. And I want to thank everybody who's listening now who will guaranteedly be there at the show to support, so we can get good, images of the whole community being there, showing that this is a necessary thing. And then we can get some, those corporate companies that need to, people like me to show and prove before they give us the funds that help us breathe life into things like this. So I need you there. More importantly, your babies are being bombarded with white images of hip hop. So they need you to bring them there so they can see real hip hop. And I just appreciate y'all on both sides just giving us the platform. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you for coming on and giving all of those gems. You're not only a gem yourself, but dropping those gems for us. It's very important that we support our local artists as well as much as we do, those big names. We can drop those big names, but the people that are here in our community, it's so important that we are pouring back and paying it forward. So I thank you so much for being that leader that you are and making that available for our children, the education about what hip hop is. Like you said, it's not just about where you're at and where you grew up at. It's a cultural thing. Hip hop is a cultural thing. And for us to be able to take it back and utilize it for our advantage is so important. So we really thank you for coming on.
We really do, brother. Truly a king. Thank y'all and community. If y'all notice some glitches, having a few technical difficulties, but we're going to make sure these hidden gems get all the shine that they deserve. And absolutely, Brother Coffee is truly a genius at this. Io, all together through the theme of tonight's show, there has been brilliance, excellence, passion, honor. This is why I love the hidden gems. This is why I love hidden gems. And I do want to thank each and every last one of our guests that came on tonight and shared their information or gift. We look forward. Just know that you're always welcome to come back to the platform here on both sides of the conversation and share with the community. Again, yeah. You got any parting words? You got anything else you want to leave with the community? I'm almost speechless at this point.
Right. I mean, I just really want to say, I feel the best thing in common each of our guests had this evening is how they turned their passion into profit, as well as their pain was fueled by their purpose, and how that purpose has given them the ultimate power to stand firmly in what it is that they believe in and how they can redistribute that into our communities. It's so much more than just the district that you grew up in. It's about uniting each and every one of us who've been through the strifes, the struggles, and all these things, even for those who have the silver spoon, to be able to reach back and bring your brother along. Once you've gotten to certain levels and you have a certain platform, it's important that you show these great things and being leaders in whatever it is that you have a passion in, and making sure that you're bringing the next generation up. I always say that we should model the behavior that we expect in others, and every one of our guests this evening are gems in those areas. So I thank everyone this evening for coming on and sharing with us and opening up these resources to our community. We really appreciate you.
We truly do appreciate you, and we would love to hear from you. Let us know how we're doing. Again, we want to know what topics you would like to see us include in our shows. Just take the time, go there to the survey. Let us know. Again, your feedback is important. We do this for you, and we're constantly working behind the scenes to improve the quality of programming because, again, community, it's all for you. And if we don't support each other, then none of us win. So we're going to make sure we all get there together. Again, on behalf of the Bishop John Henry, I'm the co-host, Mark Scott. That is our other co-host, the Queen, Miss Io White. And we want to bid you a fantastic good night.